Welcome into the Cowboys Report, presented today by Kinzuri. Get 15% off on top of their 30% site-wide sale when you use promo code CHAT at kinzuri.com/chat. Their height insoles are built into their shoes, making them the ultimate height hack. More on them, but today's show focuses on surprise cut candidates, an entirely different set of names from what we did in our cut candidate video after the NFL draft. These are players I think will make the team, but there is a path to them getting cut, but I would still be surprised by them. Now, when the Cowboys make roster moves, you know that we have you guys covered, but less than 20% of you are part of the Noti gang with notifications set to all, meaning when news happens, you might not get an alert sent to your phone. Get that changed today. Go back to where you first subscribed, that bell icon, click it. Change it from personalized, the default setting, to all. That way you don't miss any videos here on the Cowboys Report. First up on the cut candidates, Johnathan Hankins, one of my fatties up front on the defensive line. Now, Hankins' contract doesn't really provide any benefits in the event he ends up getting cut. His deal is fully guaranteed. A veteran salary benefit deal counts just under $1.1 million on the cap. They wouldn't save anything. And the path is, we'll get to the path. But for Hankins himself, the numbers don't jump out, right? 20 tackles, ATFL, 0 sacks. Okay, why does that matter? Nose guards matter. His job is to absorb double teams, free up other players. His impact isn't felt so much in his individual stat sheet, but in numbers of on-off splits. How does the run defense fare? They were much, much better with Hankins out there than without him. But Dallas also drafted Mazi Smith in the first round. He's going to make this team. The path in which Hankins maybe doesn't make this football team, knowing Osa's going to make it, Fehoko, I think Chauncey Golston makes it too, is that one of the other defensive linemen impressed. And in particular, I'm looking at the other pure nose guard. Gallimore can do a bit of everything. I think he's better at the 3 technique, but he hasn't played there, so I digress. Quinton Bohanna stands out to me here. His numbers have been even less impressive than Hankins. He's not the gap in the run defense with Hankins compared to Bohanna, I believe, is significant. I think that's bared out in why the Cowboys drafted him, but they re-signed Hankins in the end. But if Bohanna wows at camp, maybe Hankins could become expendable. So this is today's pinned comment. I want you guys to name your surprise cut candidate. If an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage. Head down there and drop that player name or names for me at the pinned comment of today's show. Stay on defense here. Dante Fowler, who was on my surprise cut candidate last year. I guess he was on our normal cut candidates last year. But he was re-signed. Why would they cut him? Contract is movable here, folks. He's due $3 million, but only $1 million of it is guaranteed. So what ends up happening if one of those UDFAs really wow? Tyrus got a decent signing bonus. Darrell Johnson got a decent amount too. Dante Fowler did have 6 sacks last year. But much like most of the Cowboys' pass rush from a sacks perspective, his numbers did begin to decline down the stretch. And it is worth mentioning, he barely played in your most important game of the year. It was like 6 snaps against the San Francisco 49ers. That's not exactly eye-popping. You know, he had 1 sack after week 10. That's not elite production. Micah, Tank, I think Dorrance Armstrong makes these over Dante Fowler. Sam Williams could have a big-time breakout year. What if Takk McKinley impresses? What if Wheat, Johnson, or even hybrid player Isaiah Lamb really makes an impact? At that point, well, Fowler's spot isn't guaranteed from a roster contract perspective, but I think we know Dan Quinn does like him. Now, today's show is made possible by our good friends over at Kinzuri. If you're tired of feeling insecure about your height, you can't, even adjust it on the dating app to put six foot on there because you're a little bit shorter, Kinzuri is here to help you. They make shoes up to 2.8 inches to your height, all discreetly. Their shoes are not only height boosting, but also stylish and comfortable. They're not the ugly Velcro shoes Grandpa might have wore, but they're fashionable shoes that can even get compliments without the height increase. Their height insoles are built into the shoes, thus making it the ultimate height hack. For a limited time, they're offering you an exclusive 15% discount on top of their up to 30% site-wide discount. That's 45% for those of you who can't do math. So use code CHAT, C-H-A-T, at kinzuri.com/to save 45% off. Don't wait any longer. Upgrade your shoe game and boost your confidence at CONZURI.com/chat. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Wide receiver Jalen Tolbert. Yeah, let's put him on here, which I hope does not happen. Make no mistake. I want him to have a big-time year because I like to go into South Alabama, but he was kind of a mess last year, quite simply. Dallas would save just under $1 million with what would be a post-June 1st cut because this would not happen until training camp time. I don't think any of this would happen until training camp time, frankly, or even roster cutdown time. But if Jalen Tolbert struggles, if he's overwhelmed again, maybe they don't cut him. Maybe they come up with a hamstring injury. They've done that before to stash him on IR for a year. But he had almost as many offsides penalties as catches. That's bad. He had 2 more catches than you and I did. For a team that desperately needed wide receiver help, their 3rd-round pick could not get on the football field. That's a real concern. So what happens if Tolbert struggles? If Gallup looks back to form? If Fehoko really impresses? If Dennis Houston, Jalen Brooks, Jalen Marino-Cropper, David Durden, what if one or both of those guys are your new training camp darling that everyone loves because they're getting hype against air or out of pads? Well, then maybe Tolbert is a little bit dicey. He has to step up this offseason. The Cowboys don't have time to wait around for a 3rd-round pick. So be honest with me. Are you out on Jalen Tolbert already? I am not, but the fact that we can legitimately ask this question is kind of a red flag. Sound off in the comments. Why for yes, N for no. KaVontae Turpin is next up here. Hey, if you watched our video the other day on Turpin potentially getting cut, I called him a surprise cut candidate. Well, I think you knew he was going to be on here in the end. Plus he's on the thumbnail, so I guess I did kind of give it away there. But cutting Turpin wouldn't save very much, just under $900,000. This would be only if someone else steals the job. And in particular, probably Deuce Vaughn, who we will get to here in a little bit. Turpin was a Pro Bowl return man for the Dallas Cowboys this past year, despite a couple fumbles, and most importantly, not contributing on offense. Turpin is undersized. He's a small guy. He's not even a thick guy. He's just a skinny guy, skinny, small football player. Cowboys couldn't figure out how to use him on offense. Maybe he can't. Maybe Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer will fix that. There were good returns. There were some missed opportunities. There should have been at least if not 2 touchdowns this year they didn't quite capitalize on. But Turpin is very undersized. So is Deuce Vaughn. And it is very rare, even if these are both outlier players who are good at what they do, that a team carries 2 such tiny players. Deuce Vaughn, one of the smallest players in the NFL. KaVontae Turpin, one of the lightest and smallest players. Vaughn's actually a little bit thicker than KaVontae Turpin is. I think they're going to give Vaughn a chance on returns. If he impresses, well, Vaughn will also help on offense. I'm not sure KaVontae Turpin will. So I want him to be used. He brings the speed this team lacks, but he has to prove it. I think he has to fight for that job more than maybe he thought he was going to after the year ended. Pains me dearly. Jabril Cox. This one might not even qualify as a surprise. This one is maybe a bit more on the closer to the expected side even. He has not lived up to my hopes. I liked him coming out of LSU. I was surprised he fell. Loved the addition, but it's never quite clicked for him. Maybe it was the ACL injury that kind of cost him a bunch of time. 16 games played, 8 tackles. Not even a ton of special teams impact for a great athlete. He can move. I think the run fits have been a problem, and given how much the Cowboys love using 3 safeties, that Jabril Cox style role isn't as valuable in that kind of coverage-based linebacker. Devin Harper was a similar range draft pick. Team likes him. They drafted Marvion Overshown early to play a Jabril Cox type of role, that coverage blitzing linebacker, undersized player, right? They like Isaiah Land too. This is the least surprise of the 6 here would be Jabril Cox. So I'm going to keep speaking it in, and hopefully the Cowboys don't take it too literally like they did with Fatties Only, looking at you, Dontari Poe, but type Cox out in the comments section. Malik Hooker will wrap things up here. Again, I'm not advocating for anybody in particular, but if you want some surprise names, this would count. Remember when they cut out Clinton Dix? That blew a lot of us away. We weren't ready for that one until like 3 days before it happened. Would save some money, just under $3.5 million. My issue here is even if Malik Hooker is never going to be the guy I thought he could be coming out of Ohio State, the injuries sapped just enough of that incredible range he had, he's still a good football player. Like, I don't think you'd find an upgrade at the $3.5 million cost. Unless one of your other safeties shock and wow and impress from that perspective. Now, it might open up a hole, but maybe they think Israel Mukuamu can play deep safety. He was kind of more of a box nickel guy last year. But if they think he can, maybe there's a spot for it. I don't think Tyler Coyle's that guy, despite getting a chance to an extent last year before getting hurt. So I would not cut Malik Hooker, but with the savings and the general depth at safety, it could qualify as a surprise. When news happens, we have you covered. Hit that sub button right now here on the Cowboys Report.